Hello, this is Tom from Singular Health, giving an introduction to a 3Dicom virtual surgical planning platform and integrations. We'll start with the 3Dicom integration for virtual surgical planning. This is where you will upload scans through to what we refer to as the Medical File Transfer Protocol, or MFTP. This is how you basically transfer scans from the desktop application through to the Oculus Quest or mobile devices. I'll go ahead and open up a scan that we have, which is pre-segmented for the purpose of this demonstration. So as you can see, we have the traditional 3Dicom view. And if we head on over to the Connect tab, it will allow us to share the scan. And this is how we share a scan through to MFTP. And if we have any STL files, such as implants or pedicle screws that have been generated either inside of 3Dicom or externally, these can also be loaded via this screen here. Once everything's been uploaded, we'll head on over to 3Dicom on the Oculus Quest to see how we can download and open the scans and models. And now we're in the 3Dicom on the Quest 2. This is and now we're in the 3Dicom VR running on the Quest 2. In front of you have the login screen. This uses the same login as 3Dicom. So I'll log in. Once we're logged in, we have a interface that shows all of the scans that's available to us on our accounts, and we can also switch to 3D models. And these 3D models are ones that are either downloaded or not downloaded or not currently available. So we'll load in the scan that we uploaded, which was this sample segmentation scan. Cool. Once the scan's loaded, we're basically presented with a fairly normal 3Dicom interface. We can grab, manipulate, rotate the scan. We can adjust all the thresholding, go through all the sagittal as you expect. We can basically do all the normal stuff. In order to import models and start with the virtual surgical planning side of things, we'll hop over to the planning side. And this is the interface that we are presented with. The very first thing you'd probably want to do is we will import the model. For the model, we will choose the segmentation. As you can see, the model's imported. I'll just go and rename the .com file. So as you can see, it all lines up. This is because the segmentation was made in software. So it all lines up nicely automatically for you. If it's made in external software, some translations may be required for it to line up. So we'll go ahead and disable that. And then below here, we have the main sort of hierarchical control panel. First option lets us change the color of the model. Second and third is the parenting controls. This eye icon obviously sets the visibility object and obviously then locks it from being able to be viewed. And then finally we have the bin icon, which just completely deletes the file from the scene. So moving down from there, we have all the translate options. So we'll go ahead and choose this and then choose our model, and then it opens up the transform options for the model. We can grab it and we can basically manipulate it as we desire. You may notice there is two laser pointers coming through. One represents the mesh, and then the second represents all the tools and user interface. This is so you can basically mix and match the tools and use them much more clearly at the same time. So in the translate options, you've got all the stepping, so you can enable stepping and obviously change the amount of stepping, so that lets us step the model around. And then you can also apply the same thing by pressing or holding the group trigger here. You can change the pivot position of the model, and obviously you can do all the normal things such as rotating as well, like so. On top of that, you've also got the option to scale the model. So if you need to scale it up and down, so say you want it to appear a bit smaller, we can certainly do that. And then everything is nicely scaled down for us. So we can basically manipulate the model in sort of any way that we want to do. So further on, now move on to the annotation side of things. In fact, I'll just grab the model and actually bring it a bit closer to us, like so. Cool. All right. And we'll do it here. There we go. So next up we have the annotate model. So this lets us, as it suggests, place annotations on the mesh. And then we can obviously type messages as we need to. You can actually then record as well. This will be recording a message now, and it will play it back to you as you go along, and you can play it back, and that all just gets attached to the model, and of course it's displayed on the mesh as well. Next up we'll go for the measurements. So simple, very similar tools before. You have all the marker tools letting you mark up the mesh, and then everything's represented at the same time. We'll go to measure, so it lets you draw measurements. On here it will display the measurement on there. I actually think the measurements just combine the mesh. And then obviously you can do angles as well. Everything can also be undone and redone at the same time using these two buttons down here. So finally we have the cutting tool. The cutting tool lets us slice a mesh. Everything is done locally in this system, so nothing is sent online or sent abroad. For this purpose we'll do a pretty extreme cut. Let's say we'll just cut directly down here. And we'll give it a slice. As you can see, now it's been sliced, and we get a really nice representation of the current object that is being sliced, and everything else is just sort of faded and hidden away whilst it's being used. And if we want to do another slice, we'll do another one. There we go. And you can basically now see we've got several components that have all been sliced up. This is probably a good time as well to show the hierarchy. So the hierarchy, as you can see, has been changed. We now have a series of objects, and they're all been parented under each other. And have now all been parented under each other. So as you can see, as we hover over each one, we can see what is what. And if you want to grab the whole lot, we can simply select the whole segmentation, and we can just move that parent. We can undo it. There we go. And then if you want to, we can just grab the top parent. And then if you need to rotate the whole thing around, we can still do that. And then of course we need to delete errors. We can go ahead and delete certain bits and pieces of the mesh. So here we have another example of multiple meshes. This is obviously a mandible and a top of the skull. This is just to demonstrate multiple STL importing. As before, you can grab the individual components and move them around. And because they've been parented in such a way in the groups, it means obviously we can show and hide the individual components and update them. However, what's nice as well, we go to the measurement tool, grab our ruler, or multiple, move a ruler from one to the other, and then because we are spamming across two meshes, as we move one, the original point stays to the original mesh. So actually it means we can move these two parts independently, and the measurement will stay the same. So another thing we can do is get the angle tool. In a similar fashion, we will draw the angle from here. We'll then grab this lower mandible, and then we'll start to rotate it, like so. If I grab it, so as you can see, as we're rotating it, the angle is being adjusted, and obviously they're completely locked into the relative meshes rather than being locked to themselves. Of course, you can then also go through each mesh as you did before and slice them up. So if we wanted to make a cut here, like so, and then we can go across to the measurement tool, and we'll draw a measurement from one side to the other. Hop back across, grab the new mesh, and then we can see exactly how much of a space we're adding into it. Cool. So that sums up about the features in the 3Dicom vertical social planning. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop me an email. If not, enjoy the software.